Uncle Rob, can you tell us a campfire story? I really don't like y'all, but I'm in a good mood today, so I guess I can share one. Imagine a game where there's 8 players, but one's the killer, and the killer is Jason Voorhees. Who's Jason Voorhees? Shut the fuck up, Timmy. Anyways, in this game, the survivors will try to escape from Camp Crystal Lake by many different ways, but Jason will stop at nothing to kill them. There's perks, weapons, and even trolling to fend off Jason. But Jason also has his own tricks such as teleporting, hack and slash, grabs, and of course, brutal executions. The game was a cult classic that was a fresh take in a new brewing asymmetrical horror subgenre, but just like Icarus, it flew too close to the sun and burned in the end. This is the story of the Friday the 13th game. That game sounds boring. I'd rather play Fortnite. This is exactly why I don't like y'all. What's going on with all you beautiful people, extraterrestrials, or whatever you want to identify yourself as? It's your boy Rob. Yes, just Rob. Back at it with another vid. As you all may or may not have heard, the Friday the 13th game was shut down last year, and we may have taken for granted what could have been one of the best ASIM survival horror games. Friday was definitely one of those games where watching it doesn't really do justice for how much of a hidden gem this game truly was. Today we're going to be talking about what made Friday such a cult classic and how we all ultimately took it for granted. If you all enjoy game reviews or essays such as the vid you're watching now, then you're in the right place. Consider subbing to the channel and tapping the bell icon so you never miss a vid from yours truly. With everything out of the way, strap yourselves in, hands and feet aside to ride at all times, and somebody cue my intro. Friday the 13th, the game, was a 2017 ASIM survival horror game developed by Ilphonic and published by Gun Media, and it was based on the Friday the 13th franchise. The game pits up to 7 players controlling the counselors who are trying to escape, while one player is Jason, who tries to stop them before the time runs out. What I love the most about the game is the fact that it was semi-open world and the map actually had a good amount of depth to it. Of course, it wasn't as big as GTA, but you definitely had a lot of wiggle room to maneuver through the map while trying to get away from Jason. Playing as Jason also grants you special time restricted abilities, including being able to sense nearby counselors and to teleport anywhere in the map. Now, the counselor also had ways to get away from Jason, such as escaping by boat or driving away in a car, and also calling the police. However, it was never that simple. You had to gather the parts necessary to repair both the car and the boats, and once you do, you had to complete skill checks. Of course, failing the skill checks makes a loud noise which alerts Jason even more. Even once you were successful, you still had to worry about Jason teleporting in front of you and just wrecking shop as you were about to leave. Not to also mention that calling the cops involved you turning on the power and waiting on them to arrive before having to travel across the map just to get to them. Now, if you ever had to take the fight to Jason, the counselor had tools at their disposal to distract Jason, such as firecrackers, bear traps, and melee and projectile weapons that you can find across the map. You also can play as Tommy Jarvis, who becomes a playable character when conditions are met, such as turning the power on that allows you to call all the cops. There were 14 playable counselors with all their own set of unique stats. Some were better at repairing but had limited speed, while others had great speed but not the best composure, which causes the character to panic more when Jason is nearby. My personal favorite character was Chad, who was the king of trolling. Now, when looking at his stats, one would think that he's trash, and honestly, he was. That's if you primarily focus on objectives, however. I used him to troll the shit out of Jason. Since the game had proximity chat, I would go around calling out Jason just to lure him away from the rest of the players, while I use whatever I can to distract him for as long as I can. Now, this playstyle was kind of self-destructive, but I find myself quite a lot of times being able to get away from Jason just due to being able to hit him over and over again with my bat and annoying the shit out of him. And with Chad having a 10 in luck, his melee weapons were able to last a lot longer than most. Characters also had perks as well, which would include making it harder for Jason to sense you, increasing melee damage, repair speed, and a lot more, which also range from the poor tier up to legendary. This wasn't just exclusive to the counselors, as Jason also had his own perks that could be swapped and stats that differentiated based on the versions of Jason that you had. Part 2, 3, 4, and 5 were the only Jasons who had the ability to run, while Part 6 started off with more throwing knives and a faster cooldown ability on their ship. The game went on to garner mixed reviews and was sitting at a 6 on Metacritic. While the game definitely had some things that needed to be fine-tuned, such as the bugs and crashes, for at the time, the $40 game was definitely worth the price point for its early iterations. Although the game featured 5 maps and a plethora of both counselors and Jasons, after a while, players were clamoring for more content to make the game feel fresh. Unfortunately, what we didn't realize at the time, while the game was beginning to garner more and more attention, was its legal disputes. Due to licensing issues with franchise creator Victor Miller, the game servers was shut down in November of 2020, though online play remained accessible via peer-to-peer matchmaking. I tried doing research to see if the licenses just wasn't renewed or they were hit with a cease and desist, so we're just gonna go with they had license issues. However, upon researching for this vid, there was a fan-made game that was announced last year that was looking to release on Steam called Friday the 13th Resurrected. But after a week of its announcement, the game was hit with a cease and desist and forced to obviously cease development. So it looks like they ain't playing about their IP at all. The Friday the 13th game was delisted at the end of 2023 due to licenses expiring, and on December 31st of last year, all online services were discontinued, leaving only offline modes available for play. While Friday definitely wasn't a perfect game, it had the most fun and replayable gameplay out of the rest of the ASIM horror games out at this time, with the different perks and many ways you could ultimately reach the end game, and with adding proximity chat, it added a comedy factor to an already fun foundation. Besides, who wants to run around pallets all day?
Bro, this is Saturday night gaming at your finest. Like, at its finest. Just Mikey running around fucking pallets. He's not even looking at me as he's looping. Look, he's looking straight. He's trying to run this as optimally as possible. Oh, I'm dead here. That sucks. Never mind, he doesn't have a lunge.
Friday the 13th was a game that, yes, while flawed, everyone who played it can tell you that they had nothing but great memories playing the game, myself included. Thank you Illphonic and Gun Media for producing an enjoyable experience with the limited tools you all had as a Kickstarter game. And just like Jason from the movies, hopefully this game won't stay dead forever. If you all liked the video, then consider hitting the thumbs up button for me, as it helps a lot on growing my channel. I hope you all stay safe and stay dangerous. It's been your boy Rob. Yes, just Rob. And I'm out. Peace.